Well, when I was Speaker of Parliament, we actually had a budget reading in the first semester, and then we allowed the media in to look at the budget. I think students in this country are getting cold feet about how leaders use their money. And then in as much as I think you have to commend the SRC for publishing the budget in actual terms, because that is something that has not been happening in previous years. So one, you'd commend the SRC for publishing the budget for every student to see that this is how you plan to use your money. And then I like the conversation. Let people have that conversation. Let people talk about them. Let people ask questions. Let people let that happen. That process is an integral part of student governance, when people get to talk about what their monies are being used for. So I love the process. As to whether the budget is outrageous or not, I think as a student, I also have my take when the time comes. But now I really like how the conversation is going so far. Let people talk. Let people look at it. Let people have their say on how much their monies are being spent, or how their monies are being used. Yes, I really love that conversation. Let people have that conversation.
When asked whether the budget was over budget or under budget, Honorable Hunvilla stated emphatically that he was not an SRC representative. However, if the council were to come out and then explain what the budget was used for, then people would appreciate the fact that a lot goes into the budget.
Well, I am not a representative. If you are to ask me as a layman or as a normal KNUST student, I think I would then need to see what goes into the budget. Because when I was Speaker, you really understand that a lot of things go into the budget, a lot of things. For instance, they budgeted 100,000 for administrative costs. But if you are a normal or a layman, or an average KNUST student, you might not, or an everyday KNUST student, you might not really appreciate that amount of money. But if they are to come out and say, oh, we use this for allowance, we use this for cost, we use it for printing, this for airtime, this for designs, this for this. We have about 50 SRC executives. We have about 38 parliamentarians. Everybody's going to have some allowance for their work they've done. I think people would appreciate that. But now that has not been released. So it will be quite primitive for me to say it is overblown or something of that sort. But I think the conversation that is happening is a very interesting one. Let people have their say, let people talk about the budget. It's good. It's good that they publish the budget, and every student will now have to see that this is how our leaders plan to use our monies. And it's really something we all need to comment and then keep it going for subsequent years. The budget must be out there every single year. Yes, it must.
To conclude his submission, he stated that leadership is best served with accountability, and that without accountability, people would not appreciate good leadership and democracy would be lost.
Well, as I said inside, leadership is best served when it is accountable to the people. Democracy also dies in darkness. So I've always said that as a parliament, you need to take your legislative responsibilities serious. You need to take your oversight responsibilities serious. You don't need to be antagonizing the SRC or the executive arm. You really need to provide the legislative support they need. And also, when there is time for you to hold them accountable, you do that. I think everybody would be well to do when there is a parliament who provides support and then also make sure that accountability is not thrown in the mud. So the basic thing I used to tell people is that do your job, hold people accountable, support them, do what is needful, and then make sure that the people you represent are always at the heart of the things that you discuss or the decisions that you make. Yeah, so that is the last thing I would say. Yeah.